about the law of attraction and manifesting.
Sure.
Could you please give us your opinion on them? And if you agree with them, right, with those two, then can you give us an example of something you got using them?
Sure. Right. Okay. The law of attraction. Right. Well, I speak briefly in the book, and I've just written another book just dedicated just to mastering the law of attraction. It's not a case of does this exist. We're all using it all the time. Manifesting is the phrase. Manifesting is. We manifest. That's what we do every day. We're doing it automatically. We're doing it without thought. We do it about everything. We do it about going to the cinema, going to the shops. We do it about going and getting something to eat in the morning. Everything's all manifestation. It's all happening all the time. And the problem is that people can grasp that they can manifest small stuff, and then they can't grasp they can manifest big stuff. But it's all the same. You know, the big stuff just takes a little bit longer. You know, when I manifested the right, I'm going to make myself a millionaire, and you know, I set myself 2 years, and it took me a year. Please don't let nobody. You shouldn't set time frames on anything regarding goal setting. But ignore what I said there, because I wasn't going for that. I was just going for the kudos. And as far as I was concerned, I was going to keep going until I got it. The time frame was irrelevant. So ignore time frames. My opinion on it from the law of attraction is. The law of attraction is the great phrase that it's described at, but it's slightly inaccurate. The actual, it's not so much attracting, because, you know, it is vibrational alignment. And if you want to go into quantum physics, we can go there if you want. But, you know, it's getting yourself into a vibrational alignment with whatever it is and then attracting that to you. But that all happens after you've created first. You know, you create with your mind. You create what the outcome's going to be. So I create all the time with, you know, we all create all the time. It's just some of us are creating stuff we don't want, you know. Or what I did was I switched off all the stuff I didn't want, and I only switch on the stuff I do want. And I'll give the example of the Ferrari I wanted, the the Sultan's Ferrari, we can give anything. My perfect partner is my wife, you know. I manifested her in under 24 hours and that sort of thing. You know, there's so many. I could go on for hours, but we'll just do the red Ferrari. When I was 1996, I was a window fitter working with my own company, window fitting, and I went out and I was in a van, and Ferrari had just released the Ferrari F50. It was the most beautiful car as far as I was concerned. It absolutely coke bottle shape, absolutely fantastic. And I was sitting in the front of the van with this magazine. My mate was driving, and I was sitting there looking at this car thinking, wow, what would it feel like to own one of those, to drive one of those off the forecourt? What would that feel like? Have a brand new one of those. That was it. You know, I didn't doubt I could have it. I didn't try and work out, because it was so much money that there was no way. I mean, the turnover of my entire company was probably only twice what one of these cost at the time. And so anyway, I didn't give it any more thought. Scoot forward to 2003, and I was chatting to a guy who was selling me all my supercars, because I bought a load of supercars, because what else are you going to do with the money? And I said, yeah, I'm a kid with money. First time you get rich, you get a bit stupid with money. Well, the cars were mine. Anyway, I was giving him a list of all these supercars I wanted to buy next and that sort of thing. And I said, oh yeah, the Ferrari F50. He went, no, Andy, you can't have a Ferrari F50. He said, because you only like right-hand drive cars, and that car was only ever made in left-hand drive. And I went, oh, that's all right. I don't want that then. You know, by this time I'd already got my Lamborghini, my first Lamborghini, a couple of Ferraris and other things. And so I went, oh, I don't want that then. Went home, and I can't remember how soon it was afterwards, but I got a phone call from him saying, Andy, you've got to call me. So I used to have a telephone then. Why do people have telephones? Anyway, I used to have a telephone then. And I had, it was an answer phone message. And it said, you know, Andy, you've got to call me. You won't believe what's gone on. So anyway, I called him up. I said, hi, Graham, what's the story? He says, you won't believe this, but there's a right-hand drive Ferrari F50. It's landing in the country today. The Sultan of, it turns out you've got something in common with the Sultan of Brunei. He wanted a right-hand drive as well. So he paid Ferrari £2 million to build one. Do you want it? And I said, yes, right there and then. He said, well, we've got to go and see it. So we drove up to Sheffield, went and had a look at it. And anyway, long story short, I bought the car. A few months later, because it took a while, a few months later, the car was delivered to my home. It came in, and the car rolled off the transporter. I got in the car and I'm sitting in it, and I looked at it, and it only had delivery miles on the clock. Right? The Sultan of Brunei had bought it, but never driven it. So this was late 2003 or early 2004. I got this car. No, it was 2004. That's it. Or was it 2000? Anyway, it was one of those years. And I got this car, and I looked at it, and I thought it's got delivery mileage. So it turned out that I had not only bought the only right-hand drive F50 Ferrari had ever made, but that it was brand new and had never been driven. So 8 years after I first thought, wouldn't it be wonderful to drive a brand new one of them off the forecourt, I had a brand new one that was the only one in the world that was right-hand drive. Now, if that isn't manifesting, I don't know. So, it's the sequence of events. When I got the magical cure for my back and that sort of thing, and I manifested that guy. I'll tell that story actually in that new book, which I think you're going to be giving to people, which is Mastering the Law of Attraction. And I tell the story about the back specialist in there, it's a fascinating story in itself, but I won't go into it now.
That's great. I actually have a couple of examples myself, because now that you mentioned that you manifested your partner, I actually did the same. And my partner did the same as well, without us knowing it. And everything happened, I think, was within 3 weeks or so.
Yep.
So I was one day, sitting down in my apartment, in my old apartment, and I know I was working in the computer, and I was like, I felt this desperation, like you have to go outside, grab a piece of paper, a pen, and write down exactly what you expect from your partner, like the exact person you would like to spend your life with, the rest of your life. Sorry. So I went outside. It was, I remember it was winter. The sun was going down at 4 or at 5 o'clock or something. And it was 4:45. And I went to this park, sat down. I started writing exactly what I expected from this partner, right? So this is the list. I actually have it with me, right? So this is the list that I was very specific. And the thing is, you see highlighted. Anyway, 3 weeks after this happened, I met Santina, my partner. And then I think it was a couple of months later, she said to me, hey, listen, I actually have the same list as you have. And I manifested you. I was like, what the hell? And anyway, when after 3 months or so, I came back to this list, and I started reading each of these lines. Say, okay, does she meet this criteria? Does she meet this criteria? And she meets every single criteria but one. All right, because one of the things was like, okay, I would like to have, I would like her to have, I don't know, like blonde hair, or something like a light color. Stupid things, but it was like I described it personally, like internally and externally as well. And she didn't have blonde hair or anything. But then after that, like a couple of days later, she goes like, what do you think if I put some light color in my hair? I was like, that's great. So I just came back to the list and highlighted the thing, the only one left. And that's it. So that was the perfect example. The other thing was about money. For example, in this photo that you can see on the screen, there was a seminar about, internet marketing. And I think it was like a 3-day or 4-day seminar. And at the end of the seminar, the very last day, they were going to give some money away. They were going to give like a big check away to someone. Okay, it was like 300 people in that seminar. And I was like, I'm going to win that check. I'm going to win that check, no matter what. Now, that seminar was taking place in the Gold Coast. I live in Brisbane, and it's like an hour drive. So every morning while I was driving to the event, the only thing I was doing, I was like seeing myself winning the check, right? I actually saw myself. I visualized the same, the clothes I was going to wear, the things that I was going to do when, how I was going to celebrate when they called my name, all that. And anyway, the very last day, before they gave the check away, I was sitting down next to this person, and I said to her, listen, I'm going to win the check, okay? This is the winning number. And this is what I'm going to do. I know that was the day before. I said, I'm going to wear this. I'm going to wear a black t-shirt. I'm going to wear jeans, black shoes. And this is what I'm going to do once I win the check. And she just started laughing, you know, because it was quite funny the way I described everything. The next day, when they called my name and I did the exact things and I was wearing those clothes and everything, she was amazed. You know, I won $28,000. I didn't know how much it was, but I won $28,000, right? So that was just amazing. So yeah, you guys can manifest all this stuff. So it's great.
Yeah, I remember when you told that story at the event. It's brilliant.
Okay, all right.
If someone wants to really up-level their standard of the quality of life, their vision of personal growth and achievement in terms of business success or family relationships or personal growth, I mean, it's phenomenal. It is transformative.
Since reading the books, I don't judge people. I don't worry about anything. I've got the techniques to, if anything comes into my mind, I think, well, that's not helping me. So I don't worry. I don't get stressed. I live in the now, and just a lot more peaceful. And I just feel that life's going the right way.
I have found out that things like stress, fear, anxiety, these things are illusions. And when situations come up in your life, if you can actually just refer back to at least learning those things that you've learned through the books, it makes your life much easier. It makes your life better, and it starts, in my case, to put me on a better path.
As everything really valuable in life, most things are really simple, and it's all about finding the things that you love to do, and the financial benefit is a byproduct of that. Yeah.
Who he is being just speaks volumes. There's a wisdom, there's a knowledge, and there's a real generous sharing of the heart that comes across that makes all the difference in the world.
So his philosophy is different to other personal development books because he shows the practical way of personal development, or his concept.
And one useful thing I've done through reading the books is to actually stop watching TV like a robot, and it's freed up time for me to do things like read books, which I think will do me far more good than just sitting in front of the TV watching a whole string of programs that I never even remember or do me any good,
My mind had been shifted significantly. I understand more about a lot of things. My mind opened more, and I know for sure that by applying these techniques, I'm living my design.
I like the way he delivered it in simple language so that the lay person in it can understand.
There's a system in place that teaches, that shows us that if we follow these steps and apply it with vigilance and commitment, it's possible to have a real powerful transformation.
Since I've read the books, my worries and fears have all gone. I am 100% happier, and I live my life to the full.
So it gives you a purpose and a sort of focus, and perhaps a start and end point, so you know exactly where you're going to. Because the hardest part of any journey is actually taking the first step.
So, yeah, I do know that it's going to change things radically on all fronts. Whatever you want can happen, actually.
Just do it. It's just to take you to that level. You'll know what you want, or if you don't know what you want, you'll know how to find out what you want. You'll know how to get the things that you want in your life, and you'll have great fun.
We can learn and understand things, but when we actually learn to know it and integrate it and apply it in what we're doing in our lives, anything is possible, and that is so exciting.